Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsey. If you like this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up or commenting below. If you want to see more of my videos, press the subscribe button and click on the bell for notifications. If you need any Stampin' Up! Products to make these cards, you can visit my online store and the link is in the description box below. Today I'd like to share with you my first alternative project using the Jolly Gingerbread November 2020 Paper Pumpkin Kit. Now with this kit, you can make 15 of these little gift card holders. They're front and back, and you can slide a little gift card in there, and you get to decorate, like I said, the front and back, and they come with an envelope. And there were enough supplies to make 15 of these. If you're interested in watching me unbox this kit, you can click on the link up here in the top right-hand corner. And in that video, I also share a little treat box holder you can create using the supplies for 2 of these gift card holders. So that again is up here in the top right corner. So today I'd like to share with you an alternative card I created using some of the supplies in the kit along with some cardstock from my craft room. So let's go ahead and get started. So the things you're going to need from your craft room are just some card bases. And here I'm using the Stampin' Up! Blushing Bride Cardstock. I'm going to do both cards at the same time because they pretty much have similar steps. And I've just cut them to 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And then from the kit, you're going to need one of those cute gingerbread houses and then a front and a back to stamp on. And I've used a little bit of ribbon, and this is the Whisper White Crinkled Seam Binding Ribbon. And it's just a really soft ribbon that I've added to this card. And I'll show you one example with the ribbon and then maybe one without. And then for the second card, we're going to put our greeting on a 1/2 inch strip of Whisper White cardstock, and it's 3 inches in length. And then to go along with the greeting, you're going to need one of the labels from the kit as well. So let's go ahead and start with our stamping. I'm going to remove these little pieces from the front of the house, and then I'm going to place on some clear blocks the scroll, the 2 different scrolls, as well as the greeting Happy Holidays, which is what I'm using for this card, and then one of these little tiny scrolls as well. Place that on a clear block. In the kit, you received a Blushing Bride Stampin' Spot. So just go ahead and ink that up. And then that just goes right over the door frame. Just kind of hover it over the paper to make sure it's nice and centered before stamping. And then give good pressure. And then let's go ahead and do the other scroll. And this one goes on top. So ink that up and then hover it just right above. You're looking to kind of center it, and it kind of wraps around that heart or the other opening depending on which front you're using. So you can see it kind of wraps around and it's centered, that little circle is centered over that heart, just like that. Let's go ahead and repeat this for our back piece. So just ink it up and then hover it, make sure it's nice and centered, and then stamp. And I've left just a little bit of a border here at the bottom. And then we'll do the exact same thing with the top piece. And then just hover it and center it and then stamp down. So you're looking for something like this. And then let's stamp our greetings. So again, I'm using the Happy Holidays. And this stamp set is the stamp set that came in the November kit. So everyone who's received the kit will also have this stamp set. And then for this one, I want to flag the ends. And so I'm using this Pick-a-Punch banner. And I'm just sliding it in and punching out, and you can see how it just adds a nice little banner to those ends. And then when I ink it up, I can just stamp that right in the center. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a little stamping on our card base. So we're going to do the exact same thing for both card bases. So you want to take a bone folder and just crease that score line, and that will help the card lay flat so that when you stamp on it, it doesn't move too much. And we're going to use the door frame scroll, and we're going to ink that up, and that is the image we've stamped behind the house here on our card base. If stamping on your card base makes you a little nervous, you can cut a smaller piece of the Blushing Bride and stamp on that instead. So we're looking for about 1 inch from the bottom of the card base. So if you're working on a grid paper or have a ruler nearby, just line it up so that it's about 1 inch from the bottom, and then center it and stamp. And then you're going to repeat on the other side. So the right side touches or is close to the edge of your card base. And then the left side, you just line it up. Try to make sure it's nice and horizontal, then it's not crooked. And then you have this really pretty scroll image. And this one would be a fun one for even just a regular card, and you could put a greeting right there in the center. So let's do the same thing to our second card base. Again, about 1 inch from the bottom, and then just kind of right up against that edge. And then we'll do the same on the left and just kind of line it up so it's nice and even. Okay, so we have those two done. So now you're going to need a paper cutter and your little gingerbread house from the card kit. So the first thing we're going to do is flip it over, and you'll see there's 2 score lines, and you're going to line those score lines up with your cut line that's on your paper trimmer, and just remove the flap and then cut these 2 in half. And that's going to give you 2 little gingerbread houses. So for our first card, this is just going to go straight down onto our card base, and you could use any adhesive to do that. You just want to have it centered in this cute little label. Then you're going to add the front with the cute design, and this is added with some of the dimensionals from the kit. Sometimes I cut these, other times I don't. It just depends on the size of the paper that I'm adding to my card, as well as how much time I have. So when I line this up over my gingerbread, I'm looking to make sure that the doorway is centered nicely, because I think that you're going to definitely see if that's off and not centered. So now we can add our greeting. And before I add that, I did tie a little bow with that Whisper White crinkled seam binding ribbon. And I cut about 10 inches of that. And actually I didn't tie a bow, I did a faux bow. So right here on the left side, I've added a little bit of adhesive, and I've taken that 10-inch of ribbon, and I'm going to just place it right at an angle so that it's kind of going off to the left. And then you just loop it back and forth as if it was like a bow back there. And then you can kind of adjust if you want it to be just a little bit smaller. And then you can add a dimensional over that to make sure everything stays in place. Place another dimensional on the other side. And then that can just go right over your gingerbread house. And so then the very last thing we're going to add is a little swirl coming out of the chimney. So I've just taken one of those swirls, either one will work, and just have it coming straight out and stamp it right onto that card base. So that card is all done. So our second card is very similar. We're just doing a little more detail to the back, and I might take off the bow and add more of those cute candies. So here's that back piece that we've already stamped, and what I'm going to do is take the little doorway from the front, and I'm going to add some color to this. And I have a little trick for you. So when you're adding color to a small piece, grab a sticky note and stick it to that sticky part. Then you can get your ink, and I'm using the shaded spruce and a sponge dauber, and you're just going to add color right onto that cardstock. And the sticky note is holding that cardstock in place for you. Now you can make this as dark or light as you want. I'm just going to kind of stick with this lighter green. My first one was really dark, and either one works nicely. So now we can just add that directly to our card. So just with a little bit of adhesive, line it up and place it in the center here. So this is really cute all by itself. However, I did want to try my hand at adding some of these cute little dots around to kind of bring in all those different colors. So I am using the coordinating colors from the kit. So I've got Shaded Spruce, Daffodil Delight, Mint Macaron, Calypso Coral, and then the Blushing Bride. If you don't have all these colors, go ahead and pick 3 to 5 different colors that you want to add around your door frame. So my other tip about this is kind of mapping out where you want your dots before you begin. So I'm going to start by placing one here at the top, and then just kind of slowly bringing those down and just kind of keeping them about even back and forth. Okay, so I've kind of mapped out where I want each one of those dots. Now I'm using a blender pen for this. So I'll just kind of show you how to do this with a blender pen. If you don't have a blender pen, you could use just a little marker, or you just don't want to use too much water. So I wouldn't recommend using like a paintbrush or a water painter. So you'll need to have some scrap paper. You just want to make sure your blender pen is clean, and then you pick up some color, and then just right where that dot is, create a little circle. And then you're going to count however many colors you have. So 5 is how many I have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on that next dot, add that color again, keeping that circle about the same size. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so then on that next dot, adding that color again. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that I don't need it anymore. So I'm just going to make this one a little bigger, kind of fill out that circle just a little more. And I can see that pencil mark just slightly in there. That doesn't really bother me too much. And I'm going to be adding one more layer. And so I think it kind of will help make that color disappear. So then the next color I'm going to use is Calypso Coral. Because this is a darker color, I'm not so worried about cleaning my blending brush or my blender pen. So I can just go ahead and add this color next, right next to that Blushing Bride color. And again, right up here is just the next color. So now I don't have to necessarily count each time. Don't worry if your circles aren't perfect. It's okay. It's just a little design element for your card. So then I'm going to clean on some scrap paper, and the next color I'm going to use is this mint macaron. Pick up some color and then go ahead and add that. And now I'm going to do the shaded spruce. This is not necessarily the next dot. This one is actually the last dot in that series, but I want to go ahead and use it while I still have green on my marker. Clean off my blender pen, and then we'll pull in some yellow from the Daffodil Delight. So right here. And that is the dot between those two greens. Okay. So clean your pen one more time so that when you pick it up to use it next time, that it's all clean. And then make sure you cap it so it doesn't dry out. So there's a close-up, and you can see that it's not perfect. It's just, I've done my best. Each circle is maybe a little different in size. What I'm going to do now is just to add a little bit of this chalk marker just to a side. And this is just going to give it a little bit of shadow and highlight, make it feel a little more three-dimensional. And you're not going to see it on all of them. So like the Daffodil Delight dots, you don't see as well. But it just kind of gives a little more of a 3D look to those dots. So now we can add this to our card. So let's do the same thing. This is the back piece. We're going to add this to the same place of our other card. Go ahead and just line that up. Make sure it's nice and centered in that scroll. And then place this with some dimensionals. And that just goes right on top. Kind of center it between those dots. And then we have our greeting that we've cut. And that can go on there next. And just place that right over. Just like that. So for this one, I wanted to use more of those dots, so I didn't add the ribbon here. Let's go ahead and stamp that little swirl first before we add our little candy dots. And then grab those cute candy dots that came in the kit. And I'm going to place one here at the top, and this can be of any color. And then I'm going to do a couple more around, so maybe one right here. And then maybe a yellow one. Let's do it up here. I hope you enjoyed this alternative paper pumpkin project. For more information on how I made this card, or to sign up to get your own paper pumpkin kit, visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.